Hey Theodore, like what are we gonna do tonight, man?
Theodore? You ain't hanging out with me calling me no Theodore.
Well then, Slick. I said, what we gonna do tonight, man?
I'm gonna get most down.
Oh yeah, and do what?
Hang out.
Yeah.
Hanging. It's never stopping. We're hanging out. Yes, hanging out. We're hanging out. Hanging out. We're hanging out. Get it right tonight. Gonna love you so right. Big fun all for you. First we shake, then we break. Your love I'm gonna take. We're hanging out. Hanging out. We're hanging out. Hanging out. We're hanging out. Hanging out. We're hanging out. till I fell for you. Started to see me. It's so true, you're not the one. I should have begun. No, your love is can't solve. No, your love is can't solve. Just look at who you are. Thinking you're the star. Try and hold me back. Oh. Breaking off your back. Oh. Just look at what you've done. Got me on the run. Yo. Hurt my pride. Took me for a ride. Just look at who you are. Thinking you're the star. Try and hold me back, yeah. Breaking up your back. Just look at what you've done. Got me on the run. Took me for a ride. Really hurt my pride. Your love is canceled. Your love is canceled. Don't get mad. Your love is canceled. 'Cause your ratings bad. Your love is canceled.
Every night I pray, can't stay to love you. And every night and day, I can't stand to love you, babe. Surprise, baby, here I am. I'd like to have a few words with you, just to talk about all of these things that you put me through. Oh no, Daddy, she can stay. For once in our life, we can get a straight story. Little pop, do it for me, or I'll number your day. Every night I pray, can't stand to love you. And every night and day, I can't stand to love you, babe. Every night I pray, can't stand to love you. And every night and day, I can't stand to love you, babe. I know that you're honestly. You do these things behind my back. You could try to be discreet. I let you go. Now you think I'm a sap. The way that you treated me. You think I were into S&M. I can't deal with it. You won't get away with it. Every night I pray, can't stand to love you. And every night and day, I can't stand to love you, babe. Every night I pray, can't stand to love you. And every night and day, I can't stand to love you, babe. Every night I pray,
out of reach. I wanna love that's mine, all mine. You keep it just out of reach. I sit alone and wonder why sweet love just passed me by. Is there someone out there who wants to try? I'll protect you, girl, I never will neglect you. Just slip on this ring and I will make your heart sing, my love.
I wanna love that
Mine, all mine.
all the time. You keep it just out of reach. I wanna love that mine, all mine. You keep it just out of reach.
That's
This
the
is perfect
idea.
for you. This is a
It
perfect
is.
idea for you as we pitch to a book company. Let us write
Yes.
funny comments on the books as a
Oh,
funny Cliff Notes
God.
thing, so they're actually reading the books and getting comedy.
I love that idea.
I'm
but
making the
here's-
touchdown gesture.
I love it. I love that idea. And but here's what I already envision: is you and I writing an email to the widow Dostoevsky. You know, like we'd have to be writing everybody's
We're such
relatives.
fans of Fyodor.
Oh, and you know, you mean Fyodor Ilyich Dostoevsky. But, you know, we'd be writing like, you know, Brooks Faulkner. Like, is it okay if we write about this shit? But I do like that idea. And I like that we end this theme of ideas with an idea.
Yes,
which I think
and
is nice.
why? Because our frequency is like tuning a radio. We tuned in to wanting to do something, and we quickly found something that is probably better than anything either of us has ever been involved with.
Did we tune into Kiss 108 FM?
Maddie in the
No.
morning.
Maddie in the morning. Sunny Joe White. I'm Sunny Joe White on Kiss 108 FM. All right, that was a fun theme.
Yeah.
Great.
I have no ideas. Goldie has lots of them, and they're
Not
good.
really.
Yeah, I love hearing them.
Yes, and I'm sure
That's
JC
why
has
you're in a
ideas of
guest
her own.
house
But you know what?
and I'm in a house.
This show isn't a place for women's ideas. This is
Oh, boy.
two men talking about ideas.
Nope,
JC,
don't agree.
Stop backing into our territory.
I'm
Don't you have
so-
enough now?
I'm distanced from even the irony of this.
You women can yammer and make a racket about this and that.
Oh boy. Goldie was not speaking.
I'm playing a character that is basically me, but I'm putting a voice on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's get to our this was I enjoyed the thought
Me
of
too.
this top 5 list. Okay, so this is a controversial top 5 list this week. And JC, did you get a chance to look at the movie?
I watched
Well,
it
Okay,
twice.
here we go.
And almost
Twice?
Yeah,
Okay.
because, yeah. I'll
Well,
tell you
here's
about
the-
it.
let's say what it is.
Here's the category. Top 5 movie comedies that You, Me, and Dupree is better than. It's a
Yes.
mouthful. So
Did you
that's-
like You, Me, and Dupree, JC?
What was
Did you like it?
Did you enjoy the movie?
I laughed at some parts,
Okay.
but I
Uh-oh.
had a lot of problems with it.
What are the
Well, we can get it.
problems?
We can get into
Yeah.
those. I like that. I like it when, but so basically, Goldie and I have always had this among our bonds. Among the things that we have in common is that we both really think You, Me, and Dupree is an underratedly hilarious comedy. It was kind of overlooked. You may remember it. It was 2006. Owen Wilson, Jennifer Hudson. No.
No.
Owen Wilson,
No.
Kate Hudson.
Wow.
Owen Wilson, Owen Wilson, Kate Hudson, Matt Dillon, and Michael Douglas. But it was just sort of a
Just
cute
start
comedy.
saying names. Katie Couric.
Katie Couric, Matt Damon, and Michael Fredericks. So You, Me, and Dupree. We think it was very funny, and
Amy
we.
Tan. No.
I think Seth Rogen was in it. So these are top 5 movie comedies that You, Me, and Dupree is better than.
Yes.
So this is going to be quite controversial. But
I want to hear what JC's.
yeah, JC,
problems
let's
were
give us
with
some
You, Me,
thoughts
and
on the
Dupree.
movie. Give us some
Did I-
thoughts.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I watched it, I would say 2.5, almost 3 times because I really
Wow.
wanted to give it a proper chance.
Were
Okay.
you high?
I was not high. Is that the problem?
Well, you made a. You know what? I'm not going to say that you're not really putting the effort in. But, all right. However you want to do it.
And then the other thing is I did not write notes as to what my problems were, so I'm sort of just what.
That's okay. That's
Okay.
okay. That would be far too organized.
Okay, so the big thing for me was the way Kate Hudson is portrayed and wives are portrayed as
Yes.
just like boring, controlling,
Mm-hmm.
taking away the freedom of somebody having like the football game scene where she
Yeah.
walks in and she's like, what could you, how could you possibly be having a good time while I'm
So-
out?
So
I'm like-
here's, I think, I
But
think
see, we're
you're-
laughing.
but I think you're right and you're wrong. I think you're totally right in that there was such a long era of the wife is just like come on, and that, by the way, that's the way Mila Kunis is in Ted, the first Ted. She's
Okay.
very much like shruggy and why are you hanging out with this bear and
Yeah.
stop it and leave him behind. And yes, that is, it's not fair. It doesn't flesh out the female characters nearly enough. That said, anyone in a marriage will tell you if you're in that scenario with guys who are like smoking and drinking in the house and your wife comes home and she didn't know about it, you're gonna get that look. So I had no problem with that look.
Look, I also think the intended audience of this is guys like us,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just as
Guys
the
like
intended audience for Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants
Right.
is portraying men a certain way. They're all cads, they're all
Right.
cheaters,
Which
they're
I
all,
also disagree with.
right. But so I like part of it is I just think like yes,
Well,
you
let's-
are
let's-
not the intended audience, so
Right.
Well,
I mean,
let's
and-
let her have her
I
complaints.
apologize.
Right.
Yes.
No need to apologize. And also, I mean, Seth Rogen's wife, she seems like a real treat. So, like those things. So,
He's good in that. By the way, that was the
He's-
first time I Googled him after. I was like, who's that guy? He's
oh, he's
super
so
funny.
funny.
Yeah, very funny.
And then, and maybe it's because I'm Asian, but the portrayal of which it was funny, yes, I give it that, but like the when they're playing softball and the kid's just like, I'm in the orchestra. It's
Right.
like, okay, there's that, and then the like, why is your porn all Asian? It's just like that for me
Right,
is
right.
a trigger point,
Okay.
and so maybe I'm just being too like serious about it, but
Right.
when I see those in any types
Totally
of movies,
legit.
so
Totally legit. First of all, don't look through my search history ever. But also, and a follow-up classy question: were you in the orchestra?
right, no.
Okay.
Do I
There you
seem
go.
like I was?
No, well, you're in music, like so.
Right.
You're in
Oh,
the
okay.
music world, so I
Good
thought
point.
maybe.
Good point. No.
Yeah.
I was sports. I just played sports.
That's
all-
right. You used to go to McDonald's on your way home from baseball practice. I remember
well,
that.
that was Der Wiener Schnitzel.
Oh, der Wiener Schnitzel, right? Der.
So
All right.
should I go into my top 5? Or
Let's do
should-
it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Because I think probably Goldie and mine will be more controversial in terms of like we're
I
gonna
think
have.
mine will be very controversial.
Okay.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I mean,
JC.
this was like very difficult for me. So to find
To
stuff
find
that I
5
thought.
things
That was worse. Okay, go ahead. This will make it interesting on the other end.
So number 5 was Get Him to the Greek.
Oh,
Yeah, I agree
excellent
with you,
choice.
clearly.
Excellent choice. I totally agree with that.
Okay,
Yes.
number 4 is The Internship, another Owen Wilson movie with the guy from Swingers. What's his name?
Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn.
Right,
Thank
right,
you.
right.
I
Oh,
cried
that's
at the
right.
end of that.
Yeah,
I
that's
did
where they go to
too.
fake Google, right?
Wait, yeah, is Robert De Niro?
No, that's a different.
movie.
He became an intern,
Yeah,
a
That's the
magazine
intern. That's the intern.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. And then number 3 is This Is the End.
Right.
Yes,
Yes.
I
that was
did
a
not
big
enjoy
headache.
that at all.
Right.
Headache
So-
of a movie.
I was trying to find movies in the, similar
The zeitgeist.
world.
Yes.
Yeah. Number 2, Date Night. Steve Carell, Tina
Yes.
Fey.
Yep. Yep, that was a big miss. Big miss. I just remember that even the poster for that bothered me. It was them like with their hair standing up like smoke, soot on their faces, and it was like date night. Like, oh boy, what are we in for?
And then number 1 was Bridget Jones' Diary.
Okay, great.
Sorry,
These are all good choices. And I agree with every one of them.
Yeah.
And I agree we're starting at in different plans. So goalie, let me go because I feel like you want to
Yeah,
close the show.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll get through mine quickly. All right. This will be. I have a feeling, JC, you're not gonna like me for this one.
That's okay. I will
But
like this
I
stuff.
have an axe to grind with this movie. Number 5, in movie comedies that Yumi and Dupree is better than, Harold and Maude.
I've never seen it.
Oh, okay.
That's
Harold-
fair. I mean, it's
Harold-
because that Harold and Maude is just to taste anyway. So.
Well, but I don't like because people often come hard out of the gates with best comedy ever. You know what the best
Yeah.
comedy ever is? Best comedy.
I should
Maybe
watch
the
it.
best film ever. It's a perfect film. It is. I hate when people talk like that. It has great Cat Stevens music. I love the vibe of it. But the movie and the comedy, I could take or leave. Didn't care. Just seemed a little weird to me. A little weird. All right, number 4. Here's where we can start taking out some giants. Trading Places. Never thought
What?
Trading
I don't
Places.
think Trading Places is funny.
Yeah, never
I
did.
don't know why.
Never really liked it. Never gave a shit. And I'm fine. There's sort of a little theme in my list here, unfortunately, that involves one actor in particular, and he's in that front and center. So, Trading Places, sorry, Yumi and Dupree made me laugh. Seeing Dupree's bare naked ass on the couch
It's
when he was
funny.
sleeping there night 1 was worth the price of
Do you
admission for me.
relate to Dupree? Or
You
do
know,
you
well,
relate to Matt?
I have a friend who is a Dupree. I relate much more to the Matt Dillon
Okay.
character, I would say, because I've been lucky in life to just have, I've never been couch surfing and
Oh,
like
okay.
in that sort of
Got
desperate
it.
need. But
Okay.
anyway, number 3 for me, and here we go again. Number 3, the Blues Brothers.
Whoa.
Oh, that
Are
was.
we overlapping?
I mean, literally on the same number.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's on
Blues
my-
Brothers
Brothers.
is nary a smile. I'll watch
I
it.
agree. It's a smileless comedy.
Just
it's,
watching these guys try to like play the God, Belushi
was a-
stinks.
It was a
Can we
jerk
say
off.
it?
It was
Can
a
I
jerk
say
off
it?
project. What's that?
Belushi stinks. He
I-
stinks. He's
I-
funny in Animal House. That's it.
You know what? I'm not gonna totally disagree
Cheeseburger.
with you.
Come on, man.
Animal House was
man.
originally on my list. I took it. out.
Okay, you guys are already
Oh,
shitting on my
sorry,
list. Here we
sorry.
go.
Oh, wow.
Number 2. Here it is. Very controversial. Ghostbusters.
I thought you were gonna ream me.
No.
I thought no way we'd be in agreement on this.
No, Ghostbusters for me, it has an excellent theme music by Elmer Bernstein, like fantastic. And Bill Murray is incredibly likable, yes, but it's just not. I want it to be funnier. I don't find the
When we
Funny is
were
the
dorky guy.
point.
13, it came out, or we were 12 maybe,
11.
and there was very little comedy, and then just the fact that you would see someone who was supposed to be funny was funny.
Yes.
Whereas now, everyone kind of sits arms folded, waiting to be blown away, myself
Yes.
included. And you go
Yeah.
back and watch that, and it's like, I'm not laughing. Like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, it's like cool.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
It's not real
Yeah.
funny.
No, it's not. It really isn't. It's not.
That's a good
So,
point.
all right,
I guess
we
funny is
agree
the
on that.
point here.
And number 1, it was mentioned before. I'll just get out of the way. Animal House.
Yeah.
Animal
Yeah.
House, it spoke to certainly my parents. They were that generation. It was basically, kind of matched up year-wise with their college experiences. They love it. I agree it has some funny moments. Belushi smashing the guitar is funny. I like that. But there's a lot of creepy stuff in there. Not that there isn't in Dupree, but the creepy stuff in Animal House kind of gets through even
a little
more now.
older,
It's
yeah.
a little bit like, oh, I understand why you can't do this. But that said, just doesn't make me laugh as much as Dupree.
Yeah.
And
Right.
by the way, Owen Wilson's hair puts on a clinic in Dupree.
Yeah.
I mean, it just has its
Pete
own
Wilson,
lighting.
because
Pete
it's like
Wilson.
you look at the bell curve of him, and it's like then it was Drill Bit Taylor, and then it's
Yeah.
just kind of
Wait,
like.
You're off.
do you guys remember that he tried to kill himself after that movie?
Was it after Dupree?
I thought it was because it was when he and Kate Hudson had been dating.
Right.
So I could
Okay,
be
well,
wrong
that's a-
about the time. So
That's
dark.
a fun twist.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I'm gonna save that for after my list, but okay.
sorry.
And now Goldie.
Yeah, you've had your fun, and he tried to kill himself. Oh, okay. All
All right, now let's hear your lesson.
right. This under-depreciated classic.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm gonna say like Ghostbusters at 5, which we
Yep.
agreed on. Number 4. Here comes a sacred cow. You, Me, and Dupree is funnier than Young Frankenstein.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. But you know what? I would put it on before Young Frankenstein. I would.
I'm just saying it's funnier. You want to talk how much you laughing?
I know,
the
but that's-
best
and
man patch, and
I agree with you because people love to worship Gene Wilder.
Yeah,
They
and
love
I
to worship
like
him.
Gene Wilder.
He's talented and he's good, but people love to worship him and put that in your face.
yes,
Like, you
Young
know.
Frankenstein is a scold. Oh, you don't like Young Frankenstein as much as
Yes.
I do. It's like I don't know.
Yeah, no, I
the
guess
whole
not.
subject matter. It's like a guy going, "Oh, this is yours."
You
2
should
hours.
you should correct them every time they say that. Say first of all, it's Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
You
it's
should
just
know
it's
that.
just something that is not.
I
is
can
not
agree
that
with that
funny to
one.
me.
Yeah.
So number 3, as I said, that was Blues Brothers. We were
Yep.
in agreement on that.
Yeah, I agree.
Number 2. Here comes a big domino,
Oh boy.
and it's something that I rewatched recently with my kids, and boy, was it not funny second time around. And did I love it when it came out? Yes. Does it hold up? No. Austin Powers.
Oh yes. Totally
The original one?
agree.
Yeah, You, Me, and Dupree is now funnier.
Then
And
Austin.
Austin
Powers.
Powers.
I love it. I love it. And you know what? You're right. That
It's not
was
even
so of the
close.
moment. So of the moment. Even the British office knew to shit on that like 3 years after it came out.
Yeah. Like, I mean, my kids, we were about 20 minutes in, and my kids were dying. They hated it so much.
No way. I have to rewatch
You had to
it.
take them to
So
urgent care.
funny.
my older kid begged me to turn it off, and I did, and she was right.
She was
She was
totally
like,
right.
I'm having a terrible time.
Oh, that's so
Almost
sad.
in tears.
That's great. What a review.
Just, I mean, it was like, wow. I mean, my eyes were open. I was like, wow. But I remember, maybe I'm remembering Wayne's World being funny. Maybe half the stuff I think was in Austin Powers was in Wayne's World, like the
Yeah.
Nooper and Little Yellow Different. I was
Love
like,
that.
was
Well,
good.
Wayne's
Yeah.
World made
Yeah,
me
Wayne's
laugh a
World
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The number 1 movie that You, Me, and Dupree is better than Stripes.
Oh, yeah.
I
You know, I was
agree.
debating Stripes or not Stripes. I think I just, in my heart, I feel like I'm supposed to defend Bill Murray at all costs. But, I mean, I guess
I don't like Bill Murray. I
Oh, no.
actively don't think he's funny.
you love Zissou.
I love Zissou, but it's like almost like apart from him, there's a lot I like in Zissou. The
He
thing
is
is
Zissou.
Bill Murray's always identified as this like funny like rogue who doesn't care, but he's so much more similar to the people who like bullied and brutalized me in school than he is to me. Like he's not an underdog ever. He's always the fucking like bully.
Well, I
Right.
guess. I still, yeah, I have, yeah, it's interesting because I love him in Rushmore.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah,
So
I mean
Zissou.
Rushmore's one where I just like I saw once and
Oh.
I like the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, it's got a
just
great
it didn't
soundtrack.
strike me as
You got to
as-
watch
as
it
great
again.
as
Promise me
everyone
you'll watch that
thinks.
again. No. Okay, thanks,
Yeah.
Goldie.
I
Our
will,
improv game.
I think my second kid goes to college in the year 2029.
That's when I'll get to it.
You come
Put
back
two-
to me in 8 years.
I'll put 2 hours aside on that bright sunny
I'll
day.
have time to watch Rushmore again.
Well, that was a fun list. I
Yeah.
enjoyed
That was
it.
really fun.
That was a fun theme, fun Johnny jokes. It was
Fun
fun.
week.
hearing that.
Yeah.
I don't know why Goldie hates Simone Biles so much. I guess he
Whoa,
does.
nope. Not even funny in passing.
No, nobody on here hates Simone Biles. Let's get
Right.
that clear.
Right.
Anyway, this was a fun episode, guys. Thanks
thank you.
everyone for listening, and thank you too for being awesome. And we'll talk to you next week.
Typical disgusting display.
Ready, don't care.
Typical disgusting display.
Tonight, we got him. Goldie and the Sulk.
Is a typical disgusting display. And it starts right now.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of A Typical Disgusting Display. And I think if you roll that back, you can hear Goldie saying over the theme, "I'm not ready, it doesn't matter," or "I don't care." One of the two.
It was I don't care.
Perfect. Perfect. I don't care. Yeah, I should have known that from knowing you for these many years. I am Family Guy writer Alex Sulkin, joined by Family Guy writer Goldie Julius Sharp, and of course our lovely talented producer JC.
Hello.
Hello. We're back for another episode. We're very excited today. I had a pretty exciting week because my daughter, how the years go by. My daughter, Levy, turned 6.
Aw, happy
And, yes, I know. Where do the years go? Everybody's always like, "Can you believe it?" I'm like, yeah, it's time. I understand how that works. It's
I
kind
mean,
of like-
my line is I tell parents to be, it goes by so slow.
Yeah. Don't cherish these moments. You'll have so many of them that you'll want to kill yourself. Yeah, so we had, and you know, and many of our listeners might remember that our family has moved from Los Angeles to Cape Cod. So we've been here now over a year and a half. And so this is second birthday on Cape Cod. Last year was a little bit, COVID-19 was kind of, there was no real party. This year, now that that's totally gone away, this year we had, it was just Goldie, the most retro Boston area kids birthday party you could possibly imagine.
Can
It
I
was
guess?
Go ahead, guess.
Baskin Robbins cake. Or Carvel.
You know
Awesome.
what? The cake was from a supermarket, so you're kind of on the right
Okay.
track.
Right,
It
like
was
a
a
sheet cake.
day class A cake.
And then maybe
Delicious,
a Chuck E. Cheese?
So close. It's the New England equivalent
Oh, yeah.
of that. Chuck E. Cheese is actually a little fancier than what we had. We had the Ryan Family Amusement Center. And
Oh,
so
it's like the
this-
Disney of Cohasset.
Yeah. Oh, this is just off Cape at Buzzards Bay. So we had to go over the bridge for all this fantastic fun. So basically what this is it's 10 lanes of candlepin bowling.
That's it.
Okay?
Okay.
And then there's an arcade. And then that's it. And then there are like 4 function rooms that are just cinder block rooms with no windows, which I remembered going into these places. I'm like, oh yeah, they don't like windows in here because they don't want to remind you of what's going on outside.
Right,
like
like
it's
a
beautiful
casino.
out. They want you to stay
It's
here.
like a casino.
Yes.
Yeah, except they're not pumping in air and they're
Nope.
not providing any entertainment. Well, let me guess. All the bowling balls and the video games looked like new, right?
Brand spanking. You know, quite the contrary.
They what?
I know you can't believe it, but also now you went for the cake. Guess what other foods were served at this birthday party? Because I think you can.
There's no way there are nachos because they're too exotic.
Too exotic. Way
Yeah.
too exotic.
No,
No, that's Mexican food.
Haven't heard of it. I had them once when I had to go to Cancun because I won a sales contest. I didn't
that's-
like it. It upset my stomach. I don't know how they eat that stuff all day.
Oh, down there. That's Biden food. They were all coming in with their nachos.
So, I mean, the easiest thing, because it's the cheap. Look, it's either going to be pizza or it's going to be hamburgers and hot dogs, right?
First one.
Yeah.
Pizza.
Pizza. Okay.
Pizza.
And
4.
let me guess. Hang on.
Yeah.
The pizza was incredible, right? No?
Well, here's the thing. The pizza was outsourced to Pizza Hut. So we had 4 Pizza Hut pizzas in one of those Wama bags, that sat there for 45 minutes while the kids went nuts in the arcade. We had a 2-liter of Pepsi. We
I can't
had,
believe you didn't have a 3-liter.
we skipped, we had a bowl of Ruffles.
I
love
actually,
those.
I would have camped out.
Yeah, you
I
love
know, I
those.
did. I was by the way,
double fisting Ruffles into my bald maw until all of a sudden all the carbs hit me at once, and then I would get exhausted and have to go to my car and check my phone in quotes.
oh God, yes. Why haven't I thought of that? You can actually go in your car. I'm me like a dope just standing around looking at
I
traffic.
have to take this call.
I know, I have to. This is Seth. Seth is calling. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go sit in the car for 20 minutes. That's genius. I guess if you have a Tesla, it's pretty
Right.
nice.
Yep.
But so there's the Ruffles. I was the only person at the party who had Pepsi. I had like three Dixie cups of Pepsi while talking to other dads. And there were also
How about the socks?
yeah, they're
So
looking-
many grand slams.
Oh, the grannies. Yeah. So then the kids went nuts in the arcade. They came in, chowed down pizza, went nuts in the arcade again, had cake, went bowling. We all went home. I guarantee if the entire thing cost us $400, I would be shocked.
How
And
many
just
kids?
8 kids.
Wow.
And
Gotta
I
love
want
that.
to say like maybe 5 parents kind of stayed there full time. If it cost $400, I would be shocked. And just thinking of LA birthday parties where
Yeah.
even when you want to keep it down, it's like $4,000.
And they had a blast, right? They had a great
They
time.
loved it.
Yeah.
They were going apeshit for everything. The claw
That's so
machine. Oh, the lines. It was like the Capitol on January 6th trying to get to the claw machine. It was insane there.
What were some of the video games? Did they have pole position, or were they that old?
Oh,
No,
Centipede?
it was they were kind of, actually I wish they had more of that for me. I
Yeah,
would have
I
played.
miss those
But
days.
they had newer kinds of games that the kids weren't really that interested in. They were like newer driving games, and there are a lot of 2-person like stand-up shooter
Yeah, they
games.
want to watch people play video games. They don't want to play them.
Right.
Right.
But they loved the claw machine. It
That's
was
so
Altamont at the claw machine. Like people were getting just killed trying to get up there. But it was the definition of a good time was had by all.
That's awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
how,
It was-
how wonderful
It's
for
a
you.
successful
it was
birthday party.
wonderful.
I'm
It
so
was-
happy for you.
Yeah. So that was my week.
Yeah.
That's a nice week.
Yeah.
Well,
we go-
things not quite as great here.
you don't say.
Wasn't all candy and a parade of roses being thrown at me.
What was going on in your world?
Well, soccer, kids soccer specifically,
Yeah.
has blown up my life.
And you're not
With
even
its-
coaching.
Yeah, are you manager coaching?
Oh, I stay so far away from the coaching this
Good,
year. Yeah,
good,
yeah,
good.
not coaching,
Smart.
of course. And in fact, they put out a call and they said like, if people don't volunteer as referees, and of course the fine print is, and then you have to go to these like 2 clinics that are
Yeah.
4 hours each and
Yeah.
watch the 9 hours video. But if people don't volunteer as referees, they threaten we won't be able to have playoffs.
Oh, oh my.
And it's like, oh, so I don't have to have 4 more weeks of this as long as I don't volunteer to ref. Like,
Oh. Yeah. There's no downside for you there.
by the way, the kids today are so non-competitive and in their own world. Like, they don't even seem to understand the concept of playoffs. Like, I mean, when you don't keep score in the games, when you're like, hey,
Right.
this is all a big amorphous thing, the notion of, and then we're going to have this competition to determine the winner of
Right.
not keeping tally of the goals. Like,
Right.
what is that? Like, what would even the playoff be? You
Well,
go,
is it-
well,
is
you
it
all
ki-
participated, so whoever participates the most,
The hardest.
but we can't track that. So anyway, this is trod ground. I'm not going to go off on there. Everyone has their opinion of this, but
Trod
personally,
and true.
I love participation trophies because it should go to me and not the kids. Because I friggin' like goaded them into this thing because they never want to leave their iPad. But like, so now that I have 2 kids, but you know, and I have this dog. So there are 2 games a week. And you would go, oh, it would be convenient if the games took place at the same time at the same
Back
place.
to back.
Of course they
to
do.
back. Yeah.
One game is at 7:30 in the morning.
I remember those days.
And it gets louder.
7:30 in the morning. That's a great time for a game on a weekend. Okay, so the younger one plays in the morning, and then the older one's games are at 1 p.m. But be sure to get there by 12:15. Why? I no idea. What? Because 1 p.m. where I live in LA, you are on the surface of the sun.
Yeah.
It is 1 billion degrees, and there's not a tree.
You can't escape it.
There's not a tree within a mile of this field.
No.
So, you know, my wife and I are trying to split this up. Now, there's also then 2 practices for each of them a week. 4 practices total. Do the practices take place same time, same place? Oh no. Oh no.
Wow. Yeah.
They are 5 miles apart, which in LA, that's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That's like for you going, one's in Boston and the other's in Vermont. It's like, okay, so they're different planets.
First joke of the day. First joke of the day.
Oh, the Altamont joke was
I
the
know,
first
I'm
joke
sorry.
of the day. God damn it.
They also are timed so that,
You're right.
like, one practice is at 5 and the other practice is at 7:30. So trying to like work a dinner preparation. Of course, no one eats the same thing. That would be insane if they ate the same thing.
No.
But so I have to prepare 2 dinners while somehow not being home from like 5 to 6:30, and then also having to be somewhere else at 7 and eat myself and walk a dog in the middle of this. And so it got me thinking, like, we as a society do everything wrong. Because what we do is we say, like, you come up in your 20s, and then you know, ideally you have kids, family in your 30s, and then you retire in your 60s. Here's what should happen.
Yes.
You work in your 20s. The second a woman is pregnant, you are retired for 20 years. You do not go to work.
That's
You are
great.
just doing the kid thing.
Both of
And
you.
then because a big problem in our society is like these seniors, they're depressed, they're in their home alone, they're not active, and we don't have... Those people should be working till death. The second your kids leave the house, you're working again until you die.
They would love it.
Oh, man.
It solves everything because these people are super focused. They don't have kids. They don't care. They can be ambitious, but also they have no sex drive left, so you're not going to get like Me Too'd in the workplace. There's not any hormones left. You've got these hormoneless drones who want nothing more than to sit around gabbing to each other and not leave work because they don't want to leave wherever they are. Let them work. Let
You're
me
right.
do this fucking impossible thing that I'm trying to do without any work
Having
at
to
all.
work.
Yeah.
And who cares about 20-somethings? Fuck that.
Right.
Oh, and I think Bernie Sanders is living this philosophy, and I
Yeah.
think he'd be a good one to get it out there. It
Yes.
sounds
Yeah.
like something that he would shout about.
Let's get
I
Bernie
guarantee
on.
they're going to be doing something like this in like Norway, and their quality of life is going to be like A+++, and everyone will be like, oh, that's just Norway,
What are
the
we
happiest
doing?
people in the world.
No one with kids should have to have a job.
I know. Don't you see though? There are a few logical roadblocks to get
No.
to this point.
I see
No.
zero logical roadblocks,
Okay,
and I
all
feel
right.
like it can be implemented instantly and without a single speed bump.
Like everything in our society, everyone
Yes.
will agree with it.
If everyone would just fucking listen to me for 1 second, everything would work correctly, and everyone would be happy.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that you came on with like basically a manifesto.
Yes.
That just shows a level of care. I'm like, my daughter had ruffles. And you come on with a complete manifesto. Oh my
I mean,
God.
it's like, I was marveling this morning at how am I simultaneously is exhausted, completely exhausted, and yet
Yeah.
also driven to the point of insanity by anxiety. Like, you shouldn't be able to be anxious as you're
Exhausted.
collapsing. That makes
Yeah.
no sense.
I agree.
But then if you talked about those things in the reverse order, I think it would make more sense. I think if you said, I had all this anxiety and I'm exhausted, you'd be like, yeah, that's exhausting to having anxiety.
Oh, Mr. Logic.
You know,
over
ever since
here.
my therapist ghosted me 4 years ago.
Did that really happen?
Yes.
What?
Wait, you never heard from him or her?
That's right.
Oh my god.
Wait.
That is. And
Yeah, he just saved my life and vanished.
He's like, I'm done here.
Well, wait. Did you ever like think to yourself like, was I the reason that he vanished? Like he didn't want to talk to me anymore?
Only every second of every day.
Oh my god. He was tired of hearing your problem specifically.
He was like, the guy, you know, he's a writer. He thinks it's like, you know, everyone looks at us and any complaint to come out of our mouths, they're filled with loathing. Do you know what you get to do for a living?
I know.
Yeah, I know.
I know, but then there's the part of society that I think the larger part of society now that also wrongly looks at us and says like, I don't know how you do what you do, and it's like, hey, buddy, we're somewhere in between those two extremes. Right. Like it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's telling fart jokes for a cartoon baby. We get it done. Well, since we're talking about jokes,
Oh boy.
we're already here on the dreaded section of the show called Johnny Jokes.
Here's Johnny's.
Johnny's! Oh, that music played forever.
I forgot.
I loved it.
I know. By the way, I had also forgotten because I was like you scrolling
Right, I
madly through my
immediately
jokes.
dive into my notes and go, okay, you can fix this in the 4 seconds while the music's playing. You'll write
just
7 of these in your mind as the music plays, and then you'll save it.
I mean, we could
Well,
do a pre-recorded
then
version of it if you want.
Just oh god. Don't
Nah.
suggest that.
Okay,
no,
sorry.
they gotta know that it's a live shit
Yeah.
show.
Okay, it's
they'd
great.
be able to
I thought that
tell.
was funny. I
That's
loved it.
it's part of it. And by the way, so be kind to mine, knowing what yours are. And I'm sure yours are great. They always are. Again, you're like my sister. I failed. I got an A.
I failed. I got a C+. I'm not going to grad school anyway. Okay. Walk away.
I understand the C+ part. Here we go. Just Johnny jokes to remind you. We're a little long-winded there. Oh boy. Okay. Maybe you heard about this space stuff. Last week, NASA launched a mission they're calling Lucy in an attempt to study ancient asteroids. Not much is known about the ancient objects, so when Lucy comes home, she'll certainly have some splaining to do.
Wow.
We are
That's a
off
reference
and
to a
limping.
television show that was 80 years old. I don't even know.
And Johnny himself.
Johnny was-
Again, I sometimes inhabit the world of Johnny, including the time.
Which is older, these asteroids or that reference?
I'm never going to specifically ask you to be kind about something again. Okay. Johnny has to plow through it. Johnny was great when he bombed, me not so much. Okay. Here we go. Oh, this is an interesting story. New evidence reveals that Vikings came to the Americas about 1,000 years ago, a full 500 years before Columbus. Yes, it seems the Vikings went on the road, lost to the Redskins, and had a long trip home.
That's great. That's great. The loss to
gonna
the Washington football team. That doesn't quite work.
Right.
I know.
I was going to tag it with, I believe some of the Vikings were Kirk's cousins.
I love that.
Made it way worse. Way to shit on it at the end. All right, here we go. Oh, maybe you heard this. Some good news earlier this week is Dr. Rachel Levine was sworn in as the nation's first transgender 4-star officer. Coincidentally, later that day, Netflix announced a new 1-hour special by Dave Chappelle. And I flubbed it in the middle.
These are two current events. I'm attempting to smash them together.
That's exactly right.
It's a joke,
they are
an
related.
ancient joke strategy.
Oh boy. Okay, we're very injured and wounded. This is the
Boy,
marathon bomber.
Is there any
before I-
asteroids around or any Vikings that I could...
Sorry.
And we're banking a lot on this fourth one, which is performance-based. Always the best. Okay, here we go. Singer Tony Bennett has set a world record by releasing a new album at the age of 95 years old. Yeah, isn't that great? The special album includes the singles Where Am I? Is This Thing On? And In San Francisco.
Oh, you
My
snatched-
bloody hand. My
snatched
bloody
victory.
hand.
You
My
did
bloody
it.
hand passes the baton.
Those are great.
As he,
Oh,
the
don't, JC.
They
I
were.
hate seeing you lie
marathoner
like that.
comes
No,
with a
no.
message and dies. That was you
right.
did it. You got it at the end.
3 out of 4 is great.
All right, here we go.
Generous.
Other
just like C+.
Johnny. Other Johnny.
Other Johnny.
Other Johnny.
All right, take it away.
Other Johnny. Okay. A weather report on Washington State News was interrupted by a minute of hardcore pornography. Yeah. Fortunately, the weatherman didn't miss a beat because the forecast called for 6 to 8 inches, possibly extending to a foot in some places.
That's very strong. Love it.
As we will tumble uphill. Here we go. Well, the supply chain is broken. I don't know if you've noticed, but supermarkets are running out of everything from bacon to vegetables to Rice Krispies. Yeah, there's so little to eat that Snap and Crackle have cannibalized Pop. Okay, we'll just call that a
I
draw.
loved it. It was very good delivery on that one.
Thank you. All right. And some financial news. 3% of the workforce resigned last month. Wow. 3% of the workforce. Yeah. Officials said it would have been higher, but the people who would have accepted the resignations had already quit. It's a little bit of a logic. It's a pretzel. It's a pretzel. Okay. Here we go. I'm gonna go for 2 more here. Okay.
Oh boy. Extended Johnny.
The Squid Game. The Squid Game is now the most popular show in the United States and the world. It's about debt-strapped contestants who have to play children's games and in the process might get annihilated. Yeah. Interesting fact, it was created by my ex-wife's lawyers.
I love it. You put childish games together with lawyers. It's great.
Yeah,
That's great.
It's a mishmash. Okay, and finally, here we go. A soldier with a Hitler mustache has been discharged from the U.S. military. Let's have another go at that.
Okay.
I said jizz charged.
No, I was like, is that the
know.
joke?
A soldier has been jizz charged.
Charged.
Okay, here we go.
For the penal code.
You know what? I'm gonna reword the joke a little bit. Yeah, a commander with a Hitler mustache has been discharged from the U.S. military. Yeah, the man says he didn't see what the big deal was. He was just ordering followers.
That's good. That's really funny. Just ordering followers. That's good. Oh, when you can get a new twist on a phrase like that.
That's good.
Oh, it's good.
Can we go to bed yet?
Now the clock
Only-
starts now.
Is that not enough?
Oh my God. Only forever more shows to do that. Oh boy. And while we're here stressed out, let's talk about something in our lives that can be stressful. This week, our theme, and we just talked about doing this earlier, just a couple days ago. The theme today is going to be family. Family, not Family Guy, although we might talk a little bit about that. Just our families, and in particular, how they kind of shaped us, if they shaped us, what do they feel about us doing this? What's the track of that? So, it's funny, Goldie, when I was thinking about this for me, obviously I know my family story.
Why?
I've lived
Because you lived it.
I lived it. I lived through it. but I was thinking of you, Goldie, and I was thinking of your parents because obviously you had an older dad who's passed away. He was a World War II veteran, hero of that generation. And your mom, I've met her maybe once or twice, and she doesn't strike me as someone who outwardly is like particularly gives a shit about being humorous. So I'm just wondering, why are you so funny? Like, how did that happen?
Wow, way to just take all the pressure off yourself there and dump the entire podcast into my lap.
No,
Thank
I'm
you so
letting
much.
you.
No,
I'm letting you go
Just-
first. I felt like I was listening back to a lot of these. I'm like, why do I go first?
I'll
with
let
every
you
story?
lead
Like,
on the dance floor. Oh, thank you. I'll just twirl you around and do everything while it looks like you're also dancing and we're quote partners. Great. Okay.
I don't
know,
even
I'm
get
just-
how I'm offended you here.
No, not at all. I'm just,
yeah, I want to know why you're funny.
I would, first of all, my mom is, I would say the difference between my parents is my dad had this ability to quip in a way that, you know, he was born in 1920, and I think that people used to view humor as a lubricant for other social stuff. Like, it was like, you know, when we get to the dinner party, I'll tell a joke I heard about a Polish guy.
Right.
And
Right.
that'll like loosen the skids, and then we'll talk business. You know, and he very much had that, and he, you know, had like Latin quotes for every situation. So it was like, really, I was almost raised like a baby boomer. I mean, because my dad's
Right.
stories were all about, like, you know, when I was 4, I would, the Iceman would come and I would chase him all around town begging for a shaving. That was like
Right.
literally a story. He grew up in poverty. My grandfather, his father, escaped from Russia in the back of a hay wagon to avoid being drafted into the Zazami, as my dad would say. And he was pretty much an illiterate. My grandfather would sign his name with an X and stuff. Like, he was not literate.
Wow.
And so my dad, you know, they were not exactly fluent in progressive child rearing, shall we say.
Yeah.
So my dad,
there was a backhand every once in a while.
there was not a backhand, there was a razor strop.
Oh,
Oh,
strop.
yeah.
Yeah.
A strop is a really firm leather belt they used to
Yeah.
use when they would use straight edge razors to sort
Like
of
to sharpen?
hone the blade.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my dad would get beaten with it. So my grandfather was a roofer.
Okay, your dad would get beaten.
My dad would
Well,
get
that's-
beaten by his dad
Right.
with a razor
Right.
strop. And my dad
Normal.
kept a razor
Right.
strop as a reminder of those days, which tells you about his psychology.
Wow. Yeah. Never forget.
Used to piss on it every
Just
night.
so you know, kids, this is what I used to get beaten with. Okay,
This was-
I'll be in the yard on the tire swing with severe anxiety because no one's going to explain any of this to me. Okay, so
Okay, that was that was a really good insight, actually,
Yes,
right there.
It was. Yeah.
so
We could pack on that and
Yeah.
move on.
yeah, so my dad, my grandfather was a roofer, and from a young age, like, you know, 5 years old, my dad would haul buckets of hot tar up to the roof to help his dad with the business. So you can imagine, like,
Jesus.
all the stuff this guy had to overcome. Then he volunteered for the Marine Corps in World War II. He went to Guadalcanal, and he was a platoon leader. He was a second lieutenant, and his platoon was ambushed. 2 of his guys were trapped, and like Forrest Gump, he like ran in, pulled the first guy out, who lived, but had a lot of damage from this attack,
Yeah.
and the second guy died in his arms. So,
yeah.
and then, but the guy who lived would call our house every Christmas, and sort of, kind of unravel. My dad would take the call,
Yeah.
and then it
Right.
would so everything. Like, I'm making it sound kind of Dickensian or whatever, but my dad was also a man of very high spirits who would quip, and, you know, he would refer to certain relatives who would come over after someone died as like, they're comforting the afflicted until they're afflicting the comfortable. You know, like, he just had
I
a lot
love
of
that.
lines.
That's a great phrase.
And so, obviously, like, a great way to get his attention was to be very goofy or whatever. And my mom
Right.
was 22 years younger, and she was his secretary, so like in an era of Me Too, I would be legislated out of existence. But you know, it was the 60s and the 70s,
Right,
so
Right,
you
right.
know, it was like, well, who are you gonna take to that ball? Of course, your secretary. You know?
Right.
Someone from the secretarial pool. Who's
Yeah,
so,
the steno pool gal.
so I would say my mom is a big and generous laugher. Like
That's
I don't
good.
think she
Yeah.
is as much, you know, and I would say like my
Underreported.
dad was intentionally funny, whereas my mom would be doing hilarious things, but they weren't meant to
Right.
hilarious
Right.
effect necessarily. But
Right,
she is
right.
like an incredibly amusing and interesting person, you know.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
the more you sort of examine the psychology behind everything, that you know, and she's like very kind, and I think was, you know, as supportive as she could be, because she also came from a background economically that wasn't great. That I think my parents just thought they were protecting me in their reluctance to let me pursue this, because they viewed it as like,
Sure.
we've worked so hard to get the family out of this difficult
Right.
economic
Yeah.
position, and
Yeah,
by
right.
pursuing this, you're going to go right back into these horrors that we've
Right.
witnessed and
It's not
experienced.
as stable
Of
as.
course.
And of course, I wound up wealthier than anyone in family history.
Yes.
And I showed all
Let's
them.
go.
And of course, they all admitted I showed them, and they no, none of that happened.
This is part of your eulogy again, right? Richest in family history.
But you know, I think they were, you know, obviously like so much went into my schooling and so much effort on their part that I think when I wasn't going to be, say, a doctor or a lawyer, their reaction was kind of like, we did all that for you to, you know, kind of dick
Yeah.
around, which
Yes.
I get, you know,
Yeah, you
and so
totally get it.
like I was thinking this morning as we were talking about doing this, that so much of my life is really the Billy Joel song "My Life." Like it's just like
I don't
It's
care
pretty
what
much-
you say.
yeah, like it was pretty much just like, stop telling me what to do. I'm gonna do stand up and I'm gonna show you. It's my life. Leave me alone. Like it's such a babyish reaction to just there being rules and people trying to help me
Yeah.
and looking out for my welfare, and I'm like, no, I
Yeah.
want to tell jokes. And of course, in retrospect, they were right. I should have just been a doctor. It would have been better.
Yeah, well, I mean, now as you start to imagine your kids and what they might do, you'd probably have the same reaction, except you could be like, all right, well, I could actually help you with this. So if you wanted to be, you could do it.
I feel like the world makes so little sense that I don't want to put pressure on anyone to do anything they don't want to do,
Yeah.
because I'm not sure it will matter if we run out of water.
Right.
And I want them to be looking back as the sea levels crash through Santa Monica
Right.
into Culver City as like, hey, well, at least growing up was fun.
Yeah. Soccer.
But
Maybe you could encourage them to be water makers. Maybe, I don't know.
but I'm curious, you know, having just sort of spewed my upbringing at you.
Yeah.
What was the reaction on your end? Because I know, like, you went to private schools, and I think you were sort of a, you know, when I say a coddled baby, I mean a loved,
Yeah.
a cherished
I think that's
Child.
treasure.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like, how
My
did they
mom,
feel
my
about
mom.
mommy's little treasure going into the big bad world of stand-up?
Well, it's interesting because you hit upon it. Yes, so my parents got divorced when I was 5, and I lived with my mom growing up pretty much all the time, and that was great. Like, we had a great time. She spoiled me. She coddled me. You know, and it wasn't like I was sitting there like the Little Prince. It was like a very comfortable suburban Boston growing up. We used to watch Tom Brokaw together while eating our dinners.
Yeah.
You know, we'd eat out of the same Buttricks ice cream container.
Right.
And we just had a grand old time. And I could do no wrong, even though I was constantly doing wrong. And when it came to going into writing, it was like the path had been a little bit greased because, as you know, Goldie, through my college, Connecticut College, I was able to get an internship at Saturday Night Live.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And so the idea that, hey, maybe he could do something in this had already been firmly planted. And of course, when it's something with the name brand value of SNL,
Yeah.
like my mother was already dining out off of me being an intern at SNL.
Right.
You know,
It's hard
everyone.
to refute that, yeah.
Yeah, and everyone she ran into in Weston Senna, you know, at the grocery store, my son's at SNL, and like she always makes it clear, like, I never watch it, too late for me, but he's making a lot of good contacts. So then when I was fired from there, and my future was very much in doubt because I have zero work ethic, I have no bankable skills in any other area other than being a wise ass.
Right.
So the deal that I struck with my parents was that they would help me money for 3 years
Whoa.
after I got fired from SNL. They said, you can try to do stand-up or whatever, and in 3 years, if you're making your own money, like, good. So luckily, like, getting close to the 3-year mark, still a few weeks away, or months away, I got the Kilborn thing. So
Wow.
it worked out with them, and that was, generous. They didn't sit down and say, don't do it, like,
Right.
what are you doing? And you're killing your mother. Like, it was none of that kind of stuff. It was like, try for 3 years, but after 3 years, we're talking about advertising or
Were you
whatever.
working in sports marketing when I met you?
Yes, well, that was my uncle's company.
Okay.
So I would intern there in the summers, and that was actually where I got the SNL internship through one of the executives in my uncle's company who used to work at NBC.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess I could have gone to work for my uncle. I had a great relationship with him, but it would have sucked. It would have been
Yeah,
like
it's
The
not-
Office before The Office.
Yeah.
Right.
But luckily it worked out. But in terms of my upbringing and like my humor, it's much easier for me to look at both of my parents and see exactly the things that they would sort of gift me humor-wise. My dad is essentially, the easiest shorthand to describe it now is like a Larry David type.
Right.
He's that older Jewish guy who everything annoys him, nothing is right, everything is happening to him. And it's hilarious. He's really cultivated this
Yes.
character over the years, and I think he enjoys it now. Like, he enjoys that people in his town are being like, oh, Casey's like our Larry David. Like, I think he
Yeah.
likes that. But he is, and he always showed me funny movies. Like, when I was younger, he showed me Laurel and Hardy. He would be like, these guys are great. I remember he showed me Spike Jones, that crazy musician and his orchestra. Like, he would
Yeah,
show
yeah.
me all that stuff. And then as I got older, we started going to Woody Allen movies together, and like we went to every Woody Allen movie that was released from like the early 80s through the early 90s.
Yeah.
So he gives me like that strong kind of Jewish humor
Yeah.
side that is, let's face it, that's a big thing in Hollywood. It's still
Yeah.
a big part of it. And my mom is much sillier. Like, she, like your mom, like, she loves to laugh. But she has a definite kind of wacky taste. Like, she loved watching Bugs Bunny with me growing up.
Oh, that's great.
When
Yeah.
she would always make sure that was on and we were watching it together, and she'd talk about when she first saw it or whatever. So that wacky, zany side of comedy. And she loved your show of shows. She would always show me clips
My
from
show of
that.
shows?
No, your show of shows.
Oh, mine.
No. Your show of shows.
Oh, right, my show of shows.
Now let's skip it. I love we created a B- comedy out of something that's been around for 80 years. But I feel like I think about it a lot. I think about the different kinds of, the different strains of sense of humor that both my parents really helped me with growing up. So I have not really like this sad negative story about, my parents didn't want me to do it. They told me I'd never make it, and then I did. It was more like, I think maybe they looked at each other and rolled their eyes like, I don't know if he's going to make it. And then I did, and they were like, great.
Look, if we couldn't make it together, why should he make it? Anyway, but now that you mention it, something I haven't thought about in years was my mom would always keep the TV, which at the time was like like 6-inch Panasonic black and white thing that was all fuzzy that we sat around and somehow thought that was doing something.
Yeah.
It was always on All in the Family, Laverne and Shirley. You know,
right.
we would watch these shows together, and I imagine on some level I was, you know, it's like, oh, my parents are happy while they're doing this, and this is, you know, subconsciously a way to please them. And part of me wonders too that because we both came into this doing stand-up. If I had gone into this saying I was going into writing, that might have been an easier sell somehow.
Yeah.
Yes, me too. I had the same experience, yeah. I didn't
'Cause
know writing was going to come out of it.
I didn't know it was an option, to tell you the truth. Like, it, you know, coming from Massachusetts, you don't even think, I don't even think about shows having writers or whatever.
Right. Just
And, like,
magic.
like they
It's
just get there
the,
and they...
the performers up there just saying stuff.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know, and so, you know, at one point I was actually working on a novel. Like, I used to in college write short stories, and I was co-editor of the literary magazine and that sort of thing. And you know, because I think it would, you know, had I said writer, of course, you know, I think my parents' mind would have gone to like, he's gonna be like John Updike, John Irving, any of the Johns.
F. Scott Fitzgerald. Any John. Any John will do.
One of these East Coast Johns who just sort of writes melancholy tales about private school. You know? I think they would have maybe understood that a little more, because even, you know, and they've been, once obviously the tide turned and I got successful, then the support rolled in a little more easily, where, you know, they did enjoy Kilborn, like my dad.
Yeah. My dad loved it,
enjoyed
too.
watching it, and
Yep.
would wear the sweatshirts that,
Awesome.
you know, I'd get Kilborn sweatshirts, I'd give them to him because they were always too big for me.
Right.
Thanks again, Craig. And, and I'd give them to him, and he'd wear them, you know, with pride. And then when I got on the Cleveland show, he had already sort of, I don't want to be grim here, but he had like fallen in the shower, he'd broken his neck, he was living in a nursing home, and he, you know, he did say like, I put your show on last night, it was okay. But it was like, there were a lot of other things going on at that time,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I can't look back and go, why weren't you so supportive of me?
Didn't
when,
you like that joke when we did the Sanford and Son mock opening?
Yeah, so, you know, and then everything got like pretty serious and grim.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know that my mom well, my dad not at this point, but I don't know that she's ever flipped through Family Guy, but I wouldn't expect
my
her
mom,
to. And
my mom does
it's
not.
Fine.
Yeah, my mom has never watched Family Guy. She's never watched Ted.
Yeah, my mom went to TED too because I was in it, and I think she was
Right.
kind of mortified when like all the
Right.
sperm fell on
Yeah.
Ted, and she was sitting with her cousin who had accompanied her, not knowing what, and it's like, you know, these two
John helped with
very
this.
nice, you know, 70-something New England ladies watching like jizz fall over a cartoon bear. Like, I don't really blame them for not being
Responding
like
to
super
that.
impressed and proud at that
Oh my
moment.
god. My mother, like a Times Square watch salesman, drives around still to this day with at least 3 copies at a time of the Star Wars Family Guy DVDs.
Oh.
She hands them
That's
out
nice.
to anyone who shows any interest. You know,
Oh, I
it's
have
like,
something
oh,
for
I
you."
love that. Yeah, she's like,
Yeah.
I have one in my car. Hold on.
That's great.
Yeah, I do think my mom's proud of me. I do think she, you know, admires what I do, and I appreciate it. But like, I don't, you know, I think earlier on, I was just angry about everything.
Yeah.
And you know, before you have kids and you lack any understanding of just how difficult it is, I think I might have been a little quicker to be, you know, but like, what would support be? Like, I wouldn't want my parents in the front row of a comedy show going, like, I would find that, you almost have to,
That's like,
you know, someone said very early on to me, you've got to write as though your parents are dead, meaning that like,
know.
if
So
you carry
true.
around all the shame and all this stuff and all the anxiety of shaming the family,
Right.
that you're going to be so restricted in your choice of topic and how you approach it.
Yeah.
So you'll be kneecapped at the start, and so
It makes sense.
yeah.
because why would they be proud of like all these gross jokes?
No, it's true. All the disgusting things I've done, the typical disgusting things
Yeah,
you've done.
like what? I'm not even so proud of it. I'm not running around, waving a flag
Yeah.
of how great I am. I
Oh my
feel
God.
a lot of shame about it.
Oh, so much daily. Yeah, everything is
When
being
I
caught
listen-
masturbating.
When I listen back to the podcast, because as we're doing it, I don't really listen to you. And you said everything is being caught masturbating. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
how it feels.
He literally
Chilling
just said
feeling.
it.
Yeah, and the only thing you can throw at that is like, well, the house is nice, right?
Yeah, right? Is that worth it? Being caught masturbating on a daily basis by
Remember that
everyone
nice
in life?
dinner I took you to? That was cool, right?
Yeah, it's like any time you ever try to point out that you wrote something or you worked on something, that's being caught masturbating, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Because you want to shout from the rooftops. I wrote that joke.
Yeah. I mean, do you notice in Levy any sort of do you think she wants to perform or has like that it's rubbed off from you?
I don't know. I mean, I can't say.
It's early,
I,
yeah.
I think my complete lack of a work ethic seems to have rubbed off on her. she hates doing anything. But I do notice, like, she knows what Family Guy is now, and she's actually seen a couple of them. And every time I'm on the computer or something and recording somebody or watching a screening and she hears the voice, she just instantly, like Molly was with you earlier today,
Yeah.
just sidles right in and is like transfixed and will turn to me on lines that she knows are supposed to be funny, and we laugh at each other.
Oh,
So
wow. That's great.
I mean, if anything, it's just kind of like a nice experience for hopefully both of us,
Yeah.
and certainly for me. And I have no idea if that's something she wants to do in the
Yeah.
future. I think she would want to be weighted on hand and foot, from what I can tell. So,
Right.
I don't know what career you can get out of that. A professional layabout, I'll say. But it's adorable. Now, I had another question for you. Like, what about, so we've talked about mom and dad. Are there other relatives in your family who you look to, like, that guy's funny, or I always got a kick out of this guy, or this aunt was always, like, particularly encouraging, or was it just kind of your nuclear family unit?
Well, I mean, as you go and write these family comedies, I have my mom's brother's a very funny guy, and he was a liquor salesman, so it's all, in Western Massachusetts, it's all
Right.
personality, right? It's all like,
Right.
people just love the guy. He's just a
Yeah.
lovable guy. He's the nicest guy. He's an easy laugh. Wants
Love
to talk
that.
about sports.
So jealous of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he, growing up, was always really nice to me and kind of, he didn't have kids of his own, so he just always kind of took me under his wing a little bit and would let me sit in his lap and drive his convertible when I was like 8, and just
Right.
was kind of like a big kid in a way.
Yeah.
Yes. I
So
have
it
uncle like
wasn't
that, too.
any kind of direct encouragement, but he was always just a guy, like a real positive presence. But if you talk about, as I've gone on to write some more of these family things and added a little more drama to it, my
Right.
dad had this older brother so my dad, a hardened World War II veteran, this is the person he was scared of. This guy who was 10 years older, he was maybe 5'4" tops. He would walk into a room. He was like a human barrel,
Yeah.
and he was just very serious and mean. And
Right.
Even mean to a grizzled Guadalcanal vet.
Right. And so it was like, we're going to your uncle's. And so we would pile in, and as you called it, the dark, cold Massachusetts drive where you think of death out the window.
That's it. That's all you think of.
You would get to this wood paneled place. They'd start pouring the Gordon's gin, right, and with onions in it.
Yeah.
It's like this,
Oh, sure.
this
Wow.
cocktail. There was an apple tree out back. Go play in the tree. So my brother and I, and the adults would be drinking, and they would get in these arguments that were like, "Who's afraid of Virginia Woolf?" Like you would hear
Oh, no.
screaming, and then one time, my dad's sister, her husband at the time, I remember him just weeping whenever it happened. They had just made this like grown man who was a pillar of the community he lived in like just cry for and then I remember my uncle I had this older cousin. My uncle wrestled at Williams in like 1925 or something. He was a wrestler. And my uncle, I think he was like 70 at the time, and my cousin was 12, and he was like, "I want to wrestle you." And it was like Succession,
God.
like he was just like wrestling this teenage kid, like pinning him on the floor, and everyone was upset and drunk, and it was so. As I look back, things like that,
That's
definitely get in your brain, and you go, "Oh my God, this is hilarious!" Like that any child that you would let a child witness this and never explain it is hilarious.
It's so
hilarious.
funny. Just like we're just chalking it up to life. We don't have to explain shit to them.
Right.
That's so funny. That is great. Yeah. It's in my family we have like, there's nothing like that. On my mom's side, her dad, my grandfather, was a huge figure in my life. Also like a very funny guy. Like a big golfer, everybody loved him. Poppy, I called him.
Yeah.
George Kaplan. Which is the name that Cary Grant is mistaken for in North by Northwest. That sets the whole story in motion. So once he met Cary Grant was sitting behind him at a theater in New York, and he turned to him and showed him his license. He said, "I'm George Kaplan." It was like another thing that I heard the story of like 12 times.
Right.
But
Cary
he was
Grant was like, "Okay."
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The lights thankfully, mercifully went down in the theater for Cary at that moment. But he was such a funny, mischievous guy. Like he's the kind of guy where if you'd be eating dinner over at his house, like you'd go to take your first bite and he would like push your hand down and be like, "Is everything okay?" Like he wouldn't allow you to take the first bite of something he knew you really wanted, like Chinese food or a sundae. And his brother was, as you know, famously was Nunchi. His brother was my Uncle Nunch, who was also just a funny, mischievous guy. And for some reason, maybe you had a relative like this. Uncle Nunchi was like fascinated with one of my friends. So like I had this friend in high school named John Fogarty. Every time I saw my Uncle Nunchi, he'd be like, "Hey Al, how's Fogarty?" Like he's fine. And then different incarnations of that sort of like, "I thought you'd bring your friend Fogarty." I had no idea why he was fascinated with him. But they were funny guys that definitely led me to be like a little more like devilish comedy kind of stuff, like because I saw how funny it was to sort of hilariously affect other people in a way that annoyed them. So I think I'm mastering that with my wife currently. And also my sister is a very worthy of mentioning here. Like she's a huge brain, a career academic, like a legit author. I didn't mean to underline legit so hard there, Goldie, sorry. But she's also was very like into the Looney Tunes, into Monty Python. I used to listen to her Monty Python records. She loved all that shit and really drove me towards more like English-based comedy, which I think is some of the best in the world. Right. So,
my older brother, just having that, I mean, he was always a step ahead in terms of like watching Gary Shandling or those things where, it was, and then you also kind of, when their friends come over, you level up a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
Which is so annoying to them, where you're like, "I'm going to be part of this conversation." And I too like the Beatles. My favorite song is Revolution.
Your brother's just quiet in bed that night going to sleep. Like, "What's wrong? Don't talk to my friends.
I know.
They're my friends."
Yeah, I mean, I was a horror. But listen, I feel like we've been very poorly mannered here.
Oh no.
No.
How do your family? How do they feel about you doing show business?
I mean, I entered through music, so I mean, I pursued music first.
What was your instrument?
Bass and voice.
Oh, you were bass too.
Yeah, Stu and I. That's how we
that.
played a lot of
Dueling
bass.
basses.
Yeah, we would sit and practice bass lines together in music school, and obviously he's an amazing bass player.
And it turned into something more.
Like many years later, many years later. But
there's so many easy jokes that I'm passing.
I know.
They're
No.
very
Do them all.
No.
Do one.
Slapping that. It
We
went
were
from
s-
slapping that bass to
Yes.
slapping that ass.
Yes, eventually, yes. After much
Bluff
convincing.
called and destroyed. He actually had a full house. All right.
Okay, you gotta pay to know.
Yeah.
But so, your family was into you
Well-
being in? Well, you went to Berkeley, so they
went
must
to
have been
Berkeley.
proud of that.
Yeah, well, first I went to UC
Well-
Santa Cruz. So I
Ooh,
studied
that was never mentioned before.
I know. I studied marine,
Yeah, you
marine
studied
bio
weed.
and chemistry. Well, that was. I mean, I was smoking weed from a young age, but
Oh, good for you. Wait, you were studying marine biology at UC Santa Cruz?
yeah. And then
And-
I even studied birds for a little bit, and I just wasn't happy doing
Birds?
it. Birds. Birds.
I can name over 600 fish right now. That's marine biology.
Literally, yeah. And
Name
yes.
that fish.
I won $28,000 on Name That Fish.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
so your parents were into the music thing, and
well, they were kind of surprised. Because I basically didn't know that I was going to take that path, but I applied randomly and I got a scholarship. And
Were you
then
playing stand-up bass
No.
or you played electric bass the whole
electric.
time?
Yeah, I don't know how to play stand-up. But. So yeah, so I just packed up everything. Never had been to Boston. Drove across the country.
oh, the mid city, the medium city.
And went to Berkeley and loved it. And when you're there, you have to have a principal instrument and you have to have a major. And I had always I wanted to be an engineer. Like that was what I had set out to do. And I mean, I'd met Stu very early on. When we were there, we were really close friends for many years. So
Oh, the friend zone.
he was definitely the friend zone. 7 years. I mean, when I was there, it was 7-1. Guys to girls, like it was just
Really?
like, oh yeah,
Wow.
it was like
At a place with the singing music. Go
Yeah.
figure it out.
it was
You'd
great.
think there'd be dames galore
Not yet.
playing the little vibraphones.
Right. So yeah, basically, I thought I was gonna be in the record business. You know, I thought I was gonna
Yeah.
stay making.
With Clive Davis.
Yeah, yeah, all that stuff. And then, 9/11 happened. A bunch of studios closed, including the one I was working at. And
Just for our listeners, what's 9/11 again?
Last joke of the day. Last joke of the day. Wait, I don't understand I'm an idiot. What's the correlation between 9/11 and music studios closing?
So the music industry basically collapsed at that time because just
Well, something collapsed.
Yeah,
I don't know what's that.
a lot of things collapsed.
I
Right?
guess.
So studios were struggling. Nobody was paying money to make records, and just everything sort of shut down.
Why? Because Joy was gone? Like, what's the
Yeah.
correlation?
I mean, I can't answer that. I don't know the answer to
I
that.
need you to answer the
I'm
question.
sorry.
You're here before the Senate committee.
And then I moved over to animation because I had a friend who opened up a studio, a post studio, and I was like, I need a job. And he said, there's a show called Dora the Explorer. It's about to blow up. So why don't you
It
come over
did.
here? It did. So
I didn't know you
After
worked there.
9/11, Dora blew up.
Yeah.
Too?
Yeah.
Was Dora
How dare
okay?
you.
Yeah. So yeah, I was there for 15 years. I was the lead on that. Lead audio person on that.
Jesus, you've had.
That's- yeah.
I mean, I know you say you're older than us, but you really are. You've had a lifetime at Dora, at SNL, and now you're at the Family Guy universe.
Yes. Yeah. So, but,
thrice in a
Get a
lifetime.
bad job.
right.
I know.
Right.
You keep picking winners. We should go to the track.
Yeah, let's
go to
go to the
Santa
track.
Anita.
Yeah. But I will
Nah.
say, in terms of family, my parents.
Yeah, you've been
once
avoiding that.
I know,
Go
it's
ahead.
weird. Ever since I switched to music and the arts, I feel like my parents were very supportive. That's when they were like, just very excited I was pursuing something that they felt was a passion. Even though I wasn't like talking about it much. They just knew, well, we trust her. She may be
Right.
struggling. She's not reaching out and asking for anything, which, I struggled. But I think that's all part of being in the arts, I was a musician on the side. I was in bands and all this stuff. So I just did
Yeah.
all the creative things I could. My parents were very supportive in that. And they
Can you play the bass line to "My City Was Gone" by the Pretenders?
I mean, if I could probably learn it.
Yeah, it's a good bass line. I think about good bass lines.
Oh, nice. That's like your baseline. You think of baseline.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
right. My baseline thinking is about bass lines.
One of my final conversations with my dad, my wife was there, and my dad turned to her and said, "He would have made a great doctor."
Aww, that's so sweet.
Okay, thanks. Oh, that isn't how I saw it. I was like, if only.
Yeah, if only.
You can't blame him. You can't
Well, no,
blame
but
someone
I-
for wanting you to be a doctor.
But I would imagine in that moment, putting
I think
myself.
I would have been a good doctor. Is the
Of
crazy
course you
think
would
part.
have
so,
been. You
yeah.
proved that in TED 2, my friend.
Yeah.
You worked at a fun hospital anyway. You nailed the shit out of that line, by the way. I'm so sorry that
Thank
you
you.
were way back in the second loge watching it.
Well, you know, the joke about it is that I was so bad on the close-up they had to go to the wide, which was true because the second that camera was in my face, I'd started developing a twitch.
Of
And,
course,
like,
of
I
course.
couldn't, of course it's involuntary. I couldn't stop it, and so, but it's funnier in the wide. Like, it's funnier to see that guy in the doorway. But
Yeah.
I remember Seth being like, "Yeah, your close-ups were really bad," and he was right. I mean, they were.
Oh my God! Yeah. Well, I mean, Wellesley and I were cut out of TED 1.
Oh.
We were in a party scene, and so distractingly bad were we opposite Mark Wahlberg that it was just like, get that out of there. But you know who did make the cut?
Ooh.
Our good friend Kidder.
Oh, really? I gotta rewatch that.
Yeah, he's an extra in one of the TED party scene in the apartment, and he's in there. It's very fun to see. Yeah, I mean, just before, because you've actually met this relative of mine. Just to wrap up this relative thing, I want to get a couple loose ends here. My cousin Wendy is very funny. I just want that on the record. She's an attorney.
Okay.
She'll appreciate it on the record.
Nice.
But the cousin you've met, who you know, is my cousin Chuck.
Oh, I love Chuck.
He's,
I love
everybody who meets him loves him.
It's my
He's so-
spirit animal.
He is, right. He's a little older than I am. He feels like an older brother, and he's always so funny. So because cousin Chuck came to LA, and we went out to dinner with Goldie and Viner, and it might have
that
just
sounds
been the
like
four
fun.
of us. And we went to the restaurant Jar, which I love. And we're eating, and they had oysters on the menu, and my cousin goes, "I can't eat oysters. I'll have to go back to my hotel room and masturbate." And Goldie just found that so funny. It's like, so what? It's like you're at a hotel.
That's one of the things that you're hoping to do at the hotel. It's like maybe I would say a good 30 to 40% of the hotel business is predicated on people just they have lotion there. No one needs lotion. Like they're inviting you to masturbate. They're like, here's a bunch of lotions. Here's a million towels, and here's
tissues.
here's some pornography. What? It's like dropping someone into an escape room and going, and you give them all these clues, and then they're just like, I don't want to get out of this room.
I better not do that.
Yeah.
But he's such a funny guy, and he's always like every like big family meal, reunion, anything, wedding, even funerals, like they all make them very funny. Like everything,
Sounds
there's
like fun.
always laughter. So
Yeah.
that's shout out to my family. My dad's side of the family, my Aunt Nancy's hysterical. She's the one who likes to poke her head around a corner and say, "Alec, frozen oatmeal chocolate chip cookies in the freezer," and then she disappears. Like she just likes to come in and be like wowed by things. She's very sweet, very funny, very smart too. Anyway, that felt like a good family dump.
Yeah.
We got everyone
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
They helped
Fun.
shape us, so we just want to say thank you to our
Thank
families.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you, and I want to apologize for becoming a comedian and writer.
No need to
Everyone.
No, as you pointed out earlier, the most money ever. Let's fucking go! It's like Brady shouting at the crowd in Buffalo. Let's fucking go! All right. Well, you know what?
It's actually
Let's
not even
fucking-
that much money.
I know. No, but still a landslide. Because they were earning 1970s bucks. It's not
That's
their fault.
right.
Anyway, let's let that landslide carry us right into this week's top 5. Top 5. Oh, that's us singing, and I love it every time I hear it. It's by far the best thing we do on this show. All right, this week we have a fun category. There was a lot to think about in this one. This week it's top 5 New York movies. Okay, and that's open to interpretation. I'm anxious to hear your lists. It was an embarrassment of riches in this category. So who would like to go first with their top 5? Anyone?
Did you narrow yours down?
I didn't, but I can do it on the fly.
Wow.
I'm happy to go first if you want.
I can go first.
Go ahead.
I mean,
Goldie. Why don't you-
look, so
you go first.
I interpreted this to mean top 5 movies that take place in New York was sort of
Correct.
my
Yeah.
interpolation of this.
Yeah.
I also want to point out that I did not use Google or anything, so this list could suck.
Right.
Like,
okay.
Yeah, well,
it
that's,
might be
that's what we're here for. We
right,
hope it
but
does.
I try to do it off the top of my head. So here we go. So I have a tie at number 5, and I only did this because I mentioned one of the movies prior as one of the best movies ever, and
remember.
did I not include it, I think I would look insane to anyone who's listened through this and has thought about it.
Okay, I had that situation arise too. Go ahead.
Okay, so the tie is between the movie Big and the movie Arthur.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Both big
Okay,
New York
we'll allow the
movies.
tie because you mentioned Big is like your favorite.
It's one of my
comedy.
favorite movies, if not maybe my favorite movie. So
Okay. It's so the Arthur. It's funny. You're like 2 months older than I am, I believe. And literally within that 2-month twist, I missed Arthur. Like I was never into Arthur. Don't think I ever really saw it. Never cared about it. I only like the theme song by Christopher Cross, which is one of the great songs.
The theme
of all
song was
time.
a big hit at the
Yeah.
time when I was playing piano, and
Huge.
I remember I had the sheet music.
Oh, wow.
And it was also a movie my parents really liked, so I also was kind of like trying to curry favor by going like, Arthur, it was great. I'm like 7.
I
Oh,
get it. I
loved
get
his
those feelings.
rakishness. So number 4 is Woody Allen's Manhattan.
Excellent choice.
It's just kind of undeniable. Look, we've all
Excellent.
been
We got
forced
some-
to reevaluate it.
Some
that
of us
doesn't
have,
make
some of
it-
us haven't.
That doesn't make it any worse a New York movie.
It certainly does not.
Number 3, Oliver Stone's Wall Street.
Nice.
That's a great choice. I was looking at it. I gave it a hard look. I love Wall Street.
It's
But
the aspirational New York that in our minds we all thought
Of the
we were going
80s.
to go and like start out at the bottom and then be in the Upper East Side penthouse eating both sushi and pasta for dinner in a montage.
I was gonna set you up for that, but then I realized, oh no, he's gonna say that for sure.
Oh.
That's one of your pet peeves about that movie.
Silhouetted behind a scrim eating pasta. What would
I
be
love
better?
Goldie. Every time Wall Street gets brought up, you leap right to that moment. He's like, "Who the fuck eats pasta and sushi?" at
You
the
know what? I
same
believe,
dinner?"
to credit, I believe it's Chris Sheridan's original observation.
Oh really?
It
I
started
love
with me.
I love that you've picked up that ball.
If it did start with me, then then fuck Sheridan. But if Sheridan did it, I just want to say, Chris.
God
he's a
bless
good
you.
guy.
Of course.
So number 2, Do the Right Thing.
Yeah, that's yes.
It just
It's an important film, Goldie. It's an important.
well, it introduces the sort of real New York.
Yeah.
As
I love
apart
that
from like
movie.
the Manhattan romanticized New York, it was like, no, this is what's really going on, and like the landscape of it is very cool. And remember, no one outside of New York thought about Brooklyn until 2001 or something. Like
Yes.
Brooklyn, when I lived out in Brooklyn in 1996, people thought I was insane,
Yes, I
and people
remember.
would not come out to visit me.
Never did. I never did once.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
was like you might as well have said I'm living in Pennsylvania.
What part of
So,
Brooklyn
Yep.
did you live
I lived in Prospect Heights,
in? Okay, yeah.
catty corner of the Brooklyn Museum, and
Oh,
it was maybe 6 months after the Crown Heights riots, which was about a half mile away.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Fun
it
place
was
to be.
it was it was a little tense.
Right.
And number 1, and I'm not sure why exactly I put it here, but it's just such a great movie, and the city as the backdrop is so incredible. Network.
Oh,
I love
yeah.
that choice. It was on my list. It's not on the final list, but it was in the 12 for sure. Love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And it feels very New York TV. It feels very
Yeah.
like Rockefeller Center-ish.
And even
which
when
is
they go
very
to
cool.
Connecticut on breaks, that feels New York.
Oh, totally.
Oh,
that's
cool.
that's
Yeah.
that's New York's
That's
hat
part
right
of it.
there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah. So, you know what?
right, JC?
I think maybe I should go because I think your list is going to be, I don't know, it's going to be more New
I'm,
Yorky.
I'm amped up.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll go.
Go
So
ahead.
number 5 is 6 Degrees of Separation with
Okay.
Will Smith.
All right.
That's
Remember
what,
that.
the reveal of Will Smith. You know, I was like, oh, okay, great.
I guess
Right.
now I don't have to see it. Thanks.
Well, no, well, I didn't give the reveal.
No, the reveal of him to the world.
Yes.
Like meet
Oh,
Will
okay.
Smith
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, as an
Well, that was
as an
Fresh Prince,
actual
but
as an actual
an
actor.
actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 4, The Devil Wears Prada.
Oh.
I like it.
Well, you
I
know,
love
Goldie, I
that
told
movie.
you having a gal on here was gonna pay off.
I like it.
I love it. I love that movie.
And that is peak Grenier.
Yeah. You know that I was his voice coach for a while.
I
What?
did not.
Yeah, I didn't tell you guys that. I have a whole
Christ.
whole other life, guys.
That's we'll
I
talk.
know.
That's an
a
episode.
fourth other life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 3, American Psycho.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I love that
Boy.
book.
Right. Oh, I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the book when he goes off on like a 3-page riff on Huey Lewis's
Oh,
album.
yes,
It's like
yes.
so awesome.
Number 2 is Goodfellas.
Yeah. So good.
Thought about it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know why, but I didn't put it on. But
Yeah.
I know, and
think
I
I'm
think
right
I
there
like
with
it.
you.
Yeah, I
I've
think I
seen it
like it
from-
more than a lot of the movies I have on
I
my
like
list.
thinking about Goodfellas more than watching Goodfellas.
I love that. I've seen it.
I
I
so
like
many
to
times.
think about it, but if it's on, I don't necessarily want to
Well,
see
it's
it.
been we've been overexposed. It's been on like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then number 1 is Big.
Yes!
So
The fuck? What
Yes.
world am I living in?
Dude, that piano scene is
Yes.
like just,
Okay. Yeah.
just so uplifting.
Bobby Loggia. All right.
Exactly.
Let me hustle through mine. I have some different choices, whatever. All right. You'll see I'm going all in on a theme here. Number 5 for me is a movie called Broadway Danny Rose.
I know the theme.
It's a Woody Allen movie, smaller one from the early 80s. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. It's a fantastic movie about a struggling talent agent played by Woody Allen named Danny Rose. It's
He was struggling. Wouldn't he be Amsterdam Danny Rose? I don't want to.
I don't know. This sounds more like Madison.
Columbus
Danny
Danny Rose. He's already on Broadway, so.
Okay, number 4 for me, and I think this is my dad's favorite film. This is the way this kind of stuff rubs off on me. Number 4 is The French Connection.
Ah, nice.
Fantastic movie. That movie I can watch kind of again and again at any time. It's such a depressing version of New York, which I find I like. Cinematically depressing New York when it was like all bombed out and burning is
Yeah.
somehow more satisfying for me.
If you
Which leads
just
into the next one. Yeah.
spliced that movie in with the conversation, I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference.
I know. It's true. Well, they're both great.
Just
by the
one
way.
long
So in that one,
slog.
well, the French
Gene
Connection
Hackman
has
slog.
well, Hackman's great. Come on. We
I know,
love
but
Hackman.
it's
I
just
love the conversation.
you're watching this, it's like, oh my god.
Oh boy, Jesus! I didn't attack your big / whatever. What was the
Yes,
one it
you
tied
did.
with?
You
It was.
should.
Big and Arthur.
You showed disdain for it.
Oh yeah, I did. You're right. I said politely I wasn't. I missed it. I made it like it was my fault because that's what I
Right.
do.
Wasn't that?
All right,
polite.
number three. Here's where it gets fun. I don't know what that means. All right, number 3, Rosemary's Baby.
Ah,
Fantastic. Love it. Great apartment porn.
Yes.
Amazing
Good
apartment porn. Great haircut. A very scary movie. You know, probably the best horror movie ever. Maybe we could do that
Yeah.
someday.
It's just scary.
Number 2 for me, Rear Window. Love
wow.
that one. Can watch it at any time.
Super old.
God, I
movies.
didn't even think about that as in New York. Where is
Yeah.
is that in the village or something? That apartment? Like where's
Yeah.
the
Oh,
apartment
it
Yes.
supposed
seems
to
like
be?
it.
I don't have the exact address, Goldie, but I know it's in New
Okay,
York.
it felt like Chicago to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not Chicago. Would have been freezing. All right, and number one, Goldie, you have this on your list. I gotta put it number one. Manhattan.
Yeah.
Manhattan is just, it's fantastic. It's his masterwork. Anyway, that was a fun list. Thank you,
Yeah.
New York, for all the great movies. There were so
Thanks,
many I left off.
NYC.
The two Godfathers.
I know.
Oh, right.
I
Goodfellas,
took that off at the last minute.
Midnight Cowboy.
Fatal
you know, they're-
Attraction? Is that fair?
Fatal
Godfather
Attraction's
2
great.
is the best Tahoe movie ever.
Ever, by far. I can't
Gangs
think of
of New
another
York?
Tahoe.
Can you imagine having a house
Yeah.
where your boat
Yeah.
can like pull under your house?
Oh,
Best
that
Tahoe
would be
movie ever.
sick.
Oh, I love it.
Taxi Driver, we
Superman.
also didn't
Yeah.
do.
We
Taxi
should
Driver.
do it if we could
That's a tough
own
one to
any
watch.
house in any movie. That should be maybe our next one.
Oh, that's a good one.
To
Yeah.
live
That's
a
there?
good one.
Yeah,
let's do that next week.
We'll do that
Let's
next
do that
Tough.
next week.
Okay.
All right, we're scrambling to the end here. We're gonna end the show as we do each week on a high note. Well, I'll just say my high note quickly, and it ties into our theme. I'm just thankful and happy because when I thought about this theme, I thought about the fact that I actually really get along. I'm getting along with both my parents, and they're still here, and I'm thankful for that. And that's just a great thing in my life. They've been supportive of me doing this, and it's paid off, and we have now a really nice relationship. So that made me happy to think
Oh,
about.
that's lovely.
I would say as you approach 50, yeah, you're able to let go of maybe the stuff that you didn't,
Yeah.
you were angry about, and I find the same thing too.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna just leapfrog on that and just say, you know, miss my dad a lot, but really have been getting along great with my mom. I miss her. The COVID thing's been hard, but I'm just gonna piggyback on that
Yeah, no, I like that. A family
because
appreciation.
I share
note.
the
Yeah.
sentiment.
I mean,
JC's gonna
wife-
hop
yeah,
right
wife
on
to
that
be-
band. No, she's
well,
like, no.
Yeah. Well, they know I love them. I did have my high note is Stu is about Stu, and he will be playing. He's playing with Danny Elfman for the Nightmare Before Christmas show on
Ooh,
Halloween.
Oh, it's not gonna be that bad.
And this year it's at like City Field instead of the Hollywood Bowl, and I'm just very excited to see Stu perform again. And it was
There's a lot of
great.
bass in that.
Yeah, well, it's just the encore, so it's like
okay.
yeah. So we get to see the show and I get to see him play, and it's gonna be
Fun.
great.
That's so cool. All right. Well, that's a positive note to end on.
Yeah.
We made it through another week.
Did it?
Yes.
We did
We
it.
did it. We
We did
didn't. We did it. All right. Thank you
It's
for
fun.
listening, everybody. And we want to remind you, if you have any thoughts or comments, you can send them in to us at atypicaldisgustingdisplay@gmail.com.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is there some other address I should be giving out?
No.
A typical disgusting display
That's
on
it.
Instagram. Follow
Yeah.
us there
Yeah.
if you give a shit. Thank you for listening, and thank you too for being awesome. And
Thank
we'll
you.
talk to you next week.
Typical, disgusting display. And it starts right now.
I don't care what you say anymore.